Hey, greetings everyone, and welcome back. This is Karen with Naturally with Karen. I'm here to bring you real, honest, real person insights, not bleached teeth, dyed hair, heavily promoted with hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm a real person, and a real person who grew up in the early 1960s and 70s in San Jose, California. It's also, we call it the Bay Area, NorCal, or Central Coast. And now I've been living in Northeast Minnesota for 16 years. It is January. If you're watching this in June or July and you're wondering why she looks like this as compared to other videos, it's 3 degrees and there's a wind chill. And it makes your hair just kind of, which I just took out of dreadlocks at the end of November that were down below to the end of my back. So the heater's on every single day, kind of dry you out, and being inside, it kind of sucks the moisture out of you. You might see Fire in the back, or Faya is his real name. Luna is the German Shepherd mix, and little Pablo is sitting over here, and sometimes he crawls up on me. I'm a real person. I've lived in Minnesota for 16 years. I have, on a daily basis, for 16 years, February the 1st, 2019, owned and operated a physical professional space business. There's a sign out in front of it now at Tranquility Day Spa that says Shaman. And this is something I came into a comfort with, addressing, writing that down as a shaman after age 55. I'm 57, and I would be at my shop 5, 6, or 7 days a week by appointment. 5 to 15 to 20 or more clients a week. And clients would tell me about their diagnosis, knowing that I'm an herbalist, detoxification expert. I grew into becoming a mind-body medicine expert over many decades, beginning in 1984. And so I have a great deal of experience in helping people in what today people would call curing. But I don't use that word because of the legal ramifications. Okay, so what I do is when I meet with people and they were on my table, I'm working the clay of their body with my hands. Your hands are another form of receptors. They're receiving information. Of course, that information goes into your brain, and what I talked about just the other day, your mind's far eye or third eye or the mind's eye, right? Because these are all glands. You have 7 glands inside of you in various organs. A lymphatic system and a blood circulatory system, a heart that pumps your circulatory system, lungs that help you to take in air and give you locomotion. So the human body to me is something that is beautiful but simple, and you don't have to be someone who's a rocket scientist to really understand what's going on. What frustrates me is that starting in 1965 as a young girl, my maternal grandmother, Etna, who's now with the ancestors and hopefully resting in power, she said to me, you don't really want to trust the doctor in the modern age. Women were always the healers, and we passed this down generation after generation, but they wiped us out. They called it a witch hunt. They wiped us out, and that established the modern American medical industry, or the AMA. Now, do I go to the doctor? Of course I do. I go to the doctor if I have an accident, an injury, I absolutely need a pain medication or something like that, and I can't handle it myself. But when it comes to the day-to-day practices and daily habits of self-love and success, that's something I really have to put in. I found a lot of resistance with people sometimes, and I found it particularly in the area that I moved to 16 years ago. I got stuck here and I wasn't able to relocate and move, although I tried once. So until I can sell my house and relocate myself, this is where I am. I'm making the best of it, but I would like to be able to do a whole lot more. And that's why I'm finally stepping up as, I guess, shy or, feeling a little insecure about putting my face on a video. I've gone through a lot of stressors here, huge amount of stressors. And I also have a very, very close family member. Of course, I'm going to not name who that is for purposes of privacy and everything else, and not to violate, that person. But I've been through an absolute freaking hell ride with addiction. I knew a little bit about addiction. Right now, I know a moderate amount about addiction. This particular addiction is heroin and fentanyl. So it's in the opiate or opioids category. Opioids means it encompasses not just the pills people take like Vicodins and Oxycontins and all those oxys, but also heroin, and there's many different analogs of fentanyl. In fact, through this whole experience, talking with chemical dependency or CD counselors, taking a course by Matthew Finch, The Ultimate Opiate Detox 2.0, I bought his course and I did it. I wanted to really incorporate this because I see it as almost like a plague. I do see it as a plague that's affecting our people. It's affecting us in a huge way. Anything you read on the internet will talk about how we have over 2 million people in the United States that are addicted to opioids. It's actually what caused me to create a page on Facebook that I just do in my spare time to bring people free and interesting information called The Opioid Addicted. I didn't want to call it The Addict because I didn't want to just, slap that label on people, but I wanted to talk about it from the perspective of being opioid addicted. People are also addicted to benzos, right? People are addicted to Xanax and Lortabs, and I think Lortab's a combination. Anyway, addiction is not my premier specialty, but because I've lost so much sleep, money, time, worry, there's been suicidal ideations. Obviously, anytime someone is addicted and they just go, I'm just fed up, I'm just going to off myself with this thing or whatever. This is really becoming more and more common. We have to get acquainted with it. We have to know what it is. We have to be able to recognize it. And we need to understand what this live stream is about. What is the root of addiction? So I'm a real person. You might see me show up and I didn't get much sleep last night. There's been times in my life where I can be beautiful and perfect and glowing. You'll look back on some of my live streams and man, wow, kind of different looking. Well, I go through stress. You go through stress. I'm a real person. And I want to break it down in a real way. I've spent my entire life growing and developing to become a shaman, a medicine woman, someone who works with intuitive intelligences, our other intelligences that we know about, who knows detoxification, herbs, healing, mind body. I'm a certified African yoga instructor. I wanted to do the African yoga because I found it so intriguing and interesting on how rejuvenating it was, how it looked from a different perspective. As much as I'd done East Indian yoga for more than 2 decades, and I knew all the sun salutations, and I appreciated how much I could pump the cerebrospinal fluid within my body and rejuvenate myself. But I found that the African yoga that I took in Chicago with Yusir actually dealt more with releasing tension instead of stretching the muscles. So I put all these things together, and in the 16 years I've gone in and someone tells me they've got myasthenia gravis, they've got lupus, they've got this, they've got that. And I go to work and I go home and I might research for 2 or 3 hours. And this is on a daily basis. So there's one kind of a person that could be called a doctor that goes to an American Medical Association school for 6 years, pays a lot of money, maybe goes into major debt for it. I mean, as I understand it, people take out inordinately expensive student loans. But there was a time, a long time ago, where our children knew the basics of healing long before many of these diseases were actually inserted inside of you. The root of addiction, that's the subject of this YouTube live stream today. Uncut, unfiltered, unedited, raw, just me, real person, okay? I chose this subject because I have been dealing with it for a little over 2 years in a very raw, stressful, really, critical way. Everyone has a different experience. I'm not here to say I'm the know-it-all and end-all on addiction. I'm here to share something with you. I'm here to share my experience. I'm here to share what I'm thinking about it. Okay? You're always welcome to put some comments down below. And I'm really going to ask you to please subscribe and support me here and share these videos so that other people will really get what took me a lifetime to get. I can go deep dive with you. And not because I assume anyone is stupid or ignorant, but in the same way I don't know how to fix my house, fix my car. This is my specialty. I really deep dived into waking up, intuitive intelligences, and helping people heal as a medicine woman. A medicine woman and a shaman aren't exactly the same thing. There's no, any weirdness to it. It's just plain and simple. Any human being can do this. You're not born and you're given some special touch or special gift. This isn't a fairy tale or a movie. This is hard work and development. These are not gifts, okay? In terms of what I learned about this. So, with all that being said, I'm bringing these videos because I want you to have hope. Because I want you to have a little more clarity based on my experiences and what I sought out. Maybe you don't have the time to buy or sit there and do Matt Finch's course on opioids, on recovery. Maybe you didn't take a 2-year plus journey with addiction. Maybe you're another mom or auntie or grandparent or dad or grandfather, coworker, partner. It doesn't matter. You may be the person, or you may love the person who's addicted right now, and you really need to get this insight. Cried, rescued, and done my best to impart that the root of addiction is multi-part. It has, I'm going to talk just about the physical part. I am not omitting, denying, or refuting that there's also an emotional, a mental, and a spiritual aspect of addiction, because there is. I'm going to get started on the physical part. Here's what I found. Even last night, when I was up and I couldn't sleep because of the stress of a family member, I probably got to sleep at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was up by 8 o'clock this morning, so I got about 4 hours of sleep, okay? So this person has had a traumatic brain injury that I'm going to speak about that is anonymous. This person has struggled with Xanax addiction, meth, heroin, fentanyl, has gone from the usual path of snorting, smoking, into injecting. Before that person started using and their behavior started getting erratic, it wasn't right. It didn't seem right. People could tell things were not right within. This person got first extremely hypersexual. This person started to get a really puffy face, more puffy than mine right now without sleep. This person, to me, obviously had hypothyroid, or in my plain terminology, because I don't like to go Harry Potter terms, had a slow, sluggish thyroid. This person ate reasonably well, according to most people. According to me, this person was going to become mineral deficient. Trace element deficient, sucking on a lozenge because my throat and my nasal passages are a little dry from the heaters and the snap of cold, dry weather that we get in January in Northeast Minnesota. Many times seeing this person around town, seeing this person with a group of other people that I knew, I would say something. I think if you'd really come in, I'll give you a free session. I'd like to help you. I'd like to prevent what could possibly come down the road for you. I'm okay. I said, no, you're not. And I can see the warning signs, and I would love to help you ahead of time. This person now, due to being under the influence, has had a traumatic brain injury, a TBI, is now injecting, is now, moods are all over the place, and now likely could become a very low functioning individual, in the sense that maybe might not be able to hold down a job, maybe might not be able to hold down a business, might not be able to hold, keep it together in a relationship with a partner, might not be able to keep together their day-to-day financial life. We're living during a time where you have to pay and be busy. And you know what? You know you are, because you ask everyone around you, how are you doing? I'm not a doing, I'm a being. So if someone wants to ask me about myself or check in with me, they can say, let me make sure my phone doesn't click off, screensaver wise, they can say, are you well? Or how are you feeling? But if you ask me how I'm doing, I have to justify my busyness. I have to justify, am I doing and doing and doing and doing and doing? Because the way life is set up today, I've got to pay property taxes and insurance on the car, insurance on the house, insurance on the business. I got to pay the tax lady to do the taxes. I got to pay the government to pay the taxes. I got to pay the sales tax on the 5th of February. I got to put gas in the car. I got to put tabs on the car. Those are going to come pretty soon. I got to fix the car. I got to get oil for the car. I got to feed the dogs. I got to keep the house clean. I got to go massage people. I got my coaching. Do you see what I'm talking about? And then I go to the store, and the food gets more and more and more hybridized, non-electric, and denatured. The physical basis for addiction, because we're building on a pillar here, is a body that is trace mineral deficient. It is trace element deficient. There are certain key trace elements that I mention in my book, because I can't go into all of them right now. Detox and heal your thyroid. For anyone that wants a copy, I've got 30 or a little more physical copies of the first edition, $15. You can send me paypal.me/shaman is my PayPal account. $15. Put your shipping instructions and I'll cover your shipping and everything and send you a book, and I'll get you a free copy of my revised second edition. I'm working on it. I am going to have it out soon. I can't give you an exact date, but it's going to be beautiful with a brand new cover and updated, more clarity, because you don't become the best author on your first or second book. It takes practice, like everything, like becoming a healer. Or a facilitator of healing. So poor habits of poor nutrition, poor dietary habits, not drinking enough water, not getting enough sleep. We talked about that. Trace elements, and what else? A physical body that is suffering from heavy and toxic elements in the environment. This person grew up in a small city that has a paper mill within a 5-mile radius. What'd the paper mill do? The paper mill has been spewing mercury for over 100 years. It's been spewing sulfates and all these other different chemicals to coat paper, even though now it's converted into textiles. I'm not here to bash the paper mill. The paper mill moved up here over 100 years ago, and it's now owned by South African paper industry, Sabie. It's people's paycheck. I get that. It's their bread and butter, so to speak, right? But what if the city you live in is now declared a mercury hotspot? Or what if you were never even told? Like the city where I lived in California, like I mentioned, San Jose, that all throughout the Almaden Valley, and I lived right in the Cambrian area of San Jose. It's now a megatropolis, huge city. I left Santa Cruz in 2002, which is my preferred place. I love it, but it's so expensive. Most of us had to leave, most of us natives. Almaden Valley is loaded with mercury because of the whole gold, the gold rush. They extrapolated the gold out of the rivers with the use of mercury, and you can't just get rid of that. You don't smell it, you don't taste it, no one's telling you about it. But I dug and dug and dug and dug and dug to find the answers to things. Because I wanted to know, because I wanted to help people. Because I believe, and I'm going to keep bringing it up over and over and over again, and you're going to think, oh, it's kind of a little bit of a fairy tale. But watch the movie Avatar. Just watch it from the perspective of seeing a non-competitive, cooperating, natural, not afraid of their own skin bag, with a shaman society. And it's so uplifting that you'd say, why on earth would I be watching toxic, violent, zombie, apocalyptic, nasty things and put those into my imagination and into my manifesting, right? Many of you, I never read the book The Secret because my grandmother gave me all that when I was a child. I didn't want to put anything on top of it. That's why I never took a Reiki course for a weekend and became a level 1 or a 2 or 3 Reiki practitioner. And it's great if you are, but I got that from my maternal source, from what we call the chalice or the cup, the sacred cup. I got it from my blood. The last thing I'm going to go do is take a Reiki course. And I would if I hadn't gotten it from my grandmother. And that's wonderful if you want to take that, because we live in a world that says, well, what's your certification? Why would I trust you? Where are you certified, right? We understand the good reasons for that, but not always, what's really going on. What's really the agenda here is that pretty soon you're going to be completely mainlined, using addiction terminology, into funnel after funnel after funnel. And you're not even going to realize it that you're never going to get real help, because they drive most of us into getting a job. So if you're trace mineral element deficient, you live near toxic industries, smelting, paper mills, factories, industrial polluters, you live on ground that's been toxic for too many years or had a previous waste dump, or have geopathic stress under your home. We'll talk about that in a different live stream. Then you have some physical conditions that make it so maybe you were, vaccinated, and males, like I've talked with you before, blood-brain barrier wise, it's more permeable for them. They have less estrogen. So males specifically are going to be really your heroin and opiate users more so than females, okay? For good reason, because that aluminum and formaldehyde and thimerosal crosses the blood-brain barrier. All right. So with that being said, you've got the emotional, right? We used to have mamas at home, and some of you are going to go, oh, I don't like this part. That's okay. You wanted your mama at home too. You wanted your mama to love you and protect you and keep you safe because you were vulnerable many years of your life. Of course you were. You didn't want to be farmed off to school, even if you told mama when she asked you, I want to go to school. I want to go see my friends. You don't know what you're talking about at that age. You're operating on a completely different level, just like when you're a baby that's first born, you're entirely a sensory organ. Well, when you're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 9, you're not responsible for making decisions for yourself. That's when you offer choices to young children. If you take developmental psych or child development, which I have, I wanted to take them. I wanted to be the best mom I could be. Then you offer choices like, do you want this one or this toy? Do you want this or this? But you don't ask them if they want to go to school or not, because they don't understand the ramifications of being removed from you all day long. Not saying you're a bad mom. I'm saying I would like us to get to a place where the community helps to parent children and we can trust them and feel safe with them. Okay? Otherwise, how many of you, like me, cried your eyes out when something changed in the plan that you had and now your child has to go to stranger care? Or your child is never going to get the love and care that you got. This is another foundation in addiction. The root is not only the physical aspects I just spoke about, toxicity, diet, habits, physical weakness, neurons shortening, disconnections in the brain, slow core processor speed, but it's also emotional, number 2, anxiety, depression, forgetfulness, fatigue, lethargy, brain fog. That hypersexuality now is dimming down. The body starts grabbing calcium. I see that on my hair testing, my HTMA Profile 2 on my website that you can order through the mail. I start to see the calcium dips way down because the body's grabbing it. And I see this more with men. And now what happens is they're going into osteoporosis. They're getting thinning bones because the thyroid, the glands, and the body never was fed properly. Not just the food, but the trace elements were not in the food. And they really weren't in, like my client last night, energy drinks, junk food, loads and loads of years of SSRIs. So what we have done is we've shortened their neuron connections. I don't want to get too technical because I can. I read tons and tons and tons of PubMed, abstracts, Lancet, and research articles. And I take what I need to take from it. And then I do that because each client, I love them up. And I want to give them the research so they can make an educated, informed decision, whether it's researching the contraindications or the side effects of medications. They need to know what it means about their blood testing, what they might want to be educated about, what they might want to do when it comes to supplements to help them out to reach their goals, what they might want to do when it comes to dietary, food as medicine, plant-based diet, like my course, Plant-Based, Everything You Need to Know, and naturallywithkaren.com. This is how I feed myself. I live by doing conscious level work with people so they can elevate and up-level their experience of life. That's how I buy my food. That's how I pay for my life. For me, it needs to be absolutely conscious and positive. Okay, so we have the physical, we have the emotional, mental, right? What kind of stressors? Was there sexual abuse? Was there trauma that is now affecting the mental? So much sexual abuse within some of these churches, within some of these dioceses and Catholic organizations. Not that all Catholics are bad, I'm not saying that, but we've discovered that I believe, here's what I think. I know this for a fact, actually. We've hormonally deranged our people by feeding them dead animals at a factory farms for so long that we're overloaded with copper, antibiotics, growth acceleration hormone, and yet a lot of these fancy people with the bleached teeth and the perfect YouTubes and everything else are selling you bovine, dead animal bone broth for $50 a jug. Whey protein powder because you are so conditioned to think you need protein and calcium all the time. You do, but you're not going to get it from a tablet and you're not going to get it from a dead cow. Okay, just like you don't need to nurse on a cow, I will show you on my Naturally with Karen Facebook page for free how to make nut and seed milks. Water and nuts and seeds, raw nuts and seeds and water. You can add a pinch of vanilla, you can add a pinch of pink salt, put it in a blender, high-speed blender, pulse it a few times until it's white and frothy and beautiful. And then I add other things to it and I put it in the refrigerator in a recycled glass container. Since our people are so disconnected from nature, they're in toxic clothing, toxic jobs, toxic homes with toxic smart meters, toxic school buildings with toxic, sometimes, here and there, there's very toxic bullying teachers and principals, and I've dealt with that with my son. Holy cow. Okay? The root of addiction is many, many pieces. But what I don't see happening anywhere, aside from the course by Matthew Finch, The Ultimate Opiate Detox 2.0, and if you go to my page, The Opioid Addicted on Facebook, Opioid Addicted on Facebook, you will see information about Matt. Matt doesn't pay me. Matt might not even know that I posted stuff on there. I bought Matt's course. I paid Matt for the course, and I finished the course in a weekend. And I just kept doing it and absorbing more insights because, my goodness, addiction is brutal. That's eventually the person, that's all they live and breathe and think about with opioids is the drug. It's not that they're not in there and they don't still love you and care about you and care for you. But from the time they wake up in the morning, it's about how am I going to get it? How am I going to get it? How am I going to take care of it? How am I going to do it? Right? And then sometimes they wind up where you have to go rescue them. You have to go help them absolve themselves of being put in, compromising positions. Because it's a daily habit that requires more money than me feeding my pack of 3 dogs and running my household. I can't make that much money in a day, right? Fortunately, I know for a fact with my family member that they're not stealing, okay, that they're cooperating within a community of other people that are addicts. But the root of addiction is physical, emotional, mental, and the last one we haven't really spoken about is spiritual. Now, spirit law is something I mentioned many, many times. I mentioned it on Facebook. I mention it when I, sorry. I mention it when I write answers to questions that many people ask of me or that I find and I want to answer. On Quora.com, Quora.com. You can find me under Karen Pringle on Quora. And again, if you follow me there, it shows me that you've got some love for what I'm bringing. And it gives me the ability to reach 1,000 followers on Quora so I can do free events like this. This is free, okay? This is free for you. I can do free events for you, just like I did over here at the Armory and the Vets Hall and all of these different buildings in Northeast Minnesota where I gave free talks about reversing cancer, free talks about healing your thyroid before I published my book, Detox and Heal Your Thyroid. People find it really, really funny, impossible, outlandish, maybe even charlatan-like that you can actually detoxify your body. But your body is full of toxins. All I have to do is take one look at you, and without judging you, by simply saying, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and it will make a huge difference. That's not curing, prescribing, practicing, or asserting myself as if I were a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor. Spirit law means that you're connected with nature. How can you be connected with nature if all day long we're running around in polyester bodysuits, brushing our teeth with fluoride? Oh, there we go. I got a client that just left me a beautiful voice message about a dream that she had about me a couple nights ago. And we are connecting ourselves. So this is really good timing. Spirit law means you're connected with nature. It means that when you lay down at night, whether it's a bed or on the floor like I do, or a sleeping bag, or in a tent, or under the stars, on a boat out in sea, because you live on a boat, you're connecting with the group mind. And I'm going to go more into that as we build together. I want to see that you've got an interest. I want you to send people to my channel and ask them to subscribe, because it's going to show me that I should sit here and spend my time and do this, and that you are genuinely and legitimately interested in learning what I have to offer. Okay? I'm an elder to many people at 57, 58 this year. An elder means I'm older than you. It means I might have had more experiences than you. So I'm able to break it down into here's the physical, emotions with a cognitive interpretation are feelings. Now we have the spiritual. Spirit is spiritual connections to the root of addiction. Spirit law is the law that says you're connected with nature. How are you connected with nature? You breathe air. You're made out of earthen soil or clay, right? You've got water that makes up and comprises the blood in your veins and your lymphatic system. And you need water because inside you're about 72% water and 28% trace element minerals. You need to have these minerals to make your bones, your tendons, your ligaments. None of this is rocket science. I want to break it down. So I'm starting from the basics. I have many, many, many YouTube videos. Many where you could see I was sleeping, I wasn't under the stress of a close family member who's addicted, but I'm real. I could just say, well, I don't look perfect, I'm not going to get on the video. But I'm not perfect. You're not perfect, I'm not perfect. And I'm not going to get on here in front with bleached teeth and fancy outfits and, and act like I'm as anxiety-ridden as I was at one time, and you might be right now. That's why you want 3-minute videos. That's why you want things delivered to you in small increments and you can't take it and you can't go outside and you're shaking, because you are not living connected with nature, because you couldn't, because every program that was given to you, whether it was school, teachings, textbooks, doctoring, veterinarian, dentist, stores, women go shopping, they carry handbags all the time. Those handbags are most of the time animals who were skinned alive. Are we really connecting with spirit law? Because we always made things out of leather. But did we cage and abuse animals by the millions so that we could just flood the market with leather handbags? I don't think so. So did we use leather? We did. Did we have millions of animals and trap them and treat them horrifically? No, we didn't. Okay, we didn't. We took minimal with what we needed. And we used it and we gave thanks for it. So my aim is to eventually bring you into understanding what the root of addiction is. The root of addiction is a degenerated body, a degenerated brain, a person who's been hurt in sundry ways, emotionally, sexually, perhaps, has been bullied, has been told they're not good. And then they're going to make damn sure you want to say things, which I have actually said at my worst. Just, or whatever, right? Because you get so sleep deprived, you get so degenerated with the energy that you're putting out that you almost can't take it anymore. You almost have to have them go, get out of your surroundings or get out of your life or stop calling you constantly to rescue them because it's so overwhelming. So then that places them into the hands of the system. And the system may or may not do right by them in your family. They might not. So it takes enormous strength. If I am experiencing this right now, and 2 million people are experiencing opioid addiction in the United States, did we flood the world and create a paradigm that says a pill will always fix you? A drug will always solve your problems. We've got a drug for that. We don't say that, though, do we? Just like we don't say, do you want a slab of dead cow on your plate? We say, do you want a steak? We don't say, do you want some pig's ass? We say, do you want some bacon? Okay, we pretty things up. We know the art of language and even the manipulation of it. That's why when I worked in the legal system for 18 years, I called it sophistry, because it is the manipulation of language to effectuate a false sense of power. So when you go into the medical industry or the legal industry, they have medicalese and legalese. I call them sometimes affectionately Harry Potter language. You don't have to have mesothelioma, hemochromatosis, myasthenia gravis. Why don't you just say her thymus isn't working right? She's got excessive iron in her blood. This other person over here has this problem, okay? But they don't, because if they can distance you from your truth and breaking it down into absolutely simple, they no longer have a $1 trillion business, okay? Taking away your profits brought them profits, profits. Taking away the profits gave them billions and billions of dollars of profits. You don't research for yourself. You turn it all over to the authority. You, meaning the majority. Maybe not you listening, certainly not putting you down. When people are disconnected from nature, look at what we did. For years and years and years and years, I worked in the legal system as one of the first, foundational females in there when it was a male-dominated field. So you had to wear your button-up shirt, right, with your tie that would almost choke you around the neck. It always had to be in blue, white, pinstripe, or black. It had to be extremely covered. This is puritanical overlay. What that means is that when you hear about the Europeans coming over in the ships and all of their puritanical ideas about how sex was raunchy and evil and awful, right? But then they almost used it against you in a marketing ploy. Because now that you've been eating these hormonally deranged animals full of copper and antibiotics and growth acceleration hormone, it's no wonder you have cancer and immune weirdness with your immune system. Now, another Harry Potter, autoimmune. Why don't you just say that the body isn't doing well and is attacking itself because of what we've introduced and we need to detox? So even when I'm on a webinar this morning, this Rise, I think to myself, but for the need to detoxify the world at this point, would we have all these diagnosis codes, all these medications, all these vaccines, all of this, goobly-gook, all of this junk? We wouldn't. No, we wouldn't be competing either. We wouldn't have competitive sports that we run our children like crazy mad people. Don't ask me how I'm doing. Ask me if I'm well. Ask me how I'm feeling, but don't ask me how I'm doing, because I'm not a doing machine. And I'm not always so thrilled to say, oh, I'm busy. I'm so busy. I'm busy, busy, busy. I hear the webinar this morning. Oh my God, in my hectic life, oh gee, oh. Or let me give you all the biohacks because you need to do your exercise for 7 minutes and your blender for 2 minutes and put all these powders in. And I'm like, get out of here with that. You have lost the sparkle of life. I don't want that. I don't want to be so busy, hectic, stressed out, and full of anxiety that I don't even remember what I did that day when I lay down and go, oh, no wonder you're not dreaming. No wonder you've got all that foundation and eyelashes and all that crap and all that black hair dye on you. It's because you're not comfortable in your own skin. And our young adults, including my close family member, are not comfortable in their own skin. Their physical body is in pain. Not just physical pain as we know it, pain pill pain, but emotional pain, mental pain. They're brain fogged. They can't do the math problems in school. They're being told they're ADHD. They want to go get Adderall. You want to put them on Ritalin. You want to tell them they're oppositional defiant disorder. No. All of those things are codified business. Are they real? Absolutely. Have I lived with people who were diagnosed? Yes, I did. I was a therapeutic foster parent for almost 10 years in California and Minnesota until I could not do it anymore. I cannot work with therapeutic foster children because the last experience I had was unbelievable. What is happening to our children is insane. It shouldn't be happening. When a mother leaves a child in a car and is off getting these drugs, in this case it was crack, and the child sits in a freezing car in Minnesota at 4, 5, and 6 years old, and is huddled up in the car and doesn't have any warmth and is freezing, and mom isn't coming back, and learns to get rid of the pee and the poop in the car because where is he going to go? And he doesn't have clothes or a jacket. Mom took the jacket so he wouldn't bolt from the car. This is the kind of situations that I have found out. These are the experiences I've had, rather, where I have found out what's happened with some of these young children before they went through some residential treatment, like at Northwoods Children's Homes in Duluth, Minnesota, and then were placed in not regular, but therapeutic foster homes. I do intend to adopt later in my life when I get things really grown to a point where we can be models worthy of imitation, where we can help each other, where we can help children that were not just stolen from their biological parents for no good reason by CPS, but where children need to be somewhere where they can be part of growing food, where they can be homeschooled, where they can be, with a thoughtful person that will understand how to impart real medicine and real learning, not memorization of ABCs and all that, real learning. They can go out and be future seeds in the world, in a world that's confused. We don't know how to get back to what's real. The root of addiction is in a compromised, degenerated vehicle, mind, and spirit. We need to connect with nature again. We need to be spending time outside, walking, connecting, growing food in the sunlight, not slathering sunscreen and slapping down, water with a vitamin D pill. There's no vitamin D pill. This is wrong. You can't fix yourself with a pill. There are some solutions due to the degeneration of our environment and nature, which I call mama, that there are pills now that have been, created to handle the mess that we're in. But we can unwind ourselves from that. And that's what I'm going to keep moving forward on this YouTube channel, whether I'm perfect, whether I slept last night, I don't have bleached teeth. I'm definitely not perfect, but I'm here to share with you what I've learned as an elder. And you either appreciate it, subscribe to my channel, and share it. And let's grow together and grow with honesty, safety, love, manners, and respect. We don't need to bring up religion, politics, or any of that. Please keep it out of your discussion because it turns people off and it makes us divisive. You can have your own, but for the purpose of this channel, it's not about religion, politics, TV, microwaves, fast food, and all of that. Okay. So let's use our energy wisely. Let's not take energy from people by stealing it from them. That's called control drama, thanks to James Redfield, who I learned that from in his Celestine Prophecy books. It's 3 degrees. It's 2:20. I'm going to go inside and I'm going to make a leafy romaine salad, my first meal of the day, my first food. All I had was this cup of big cup that I take everywhere, my recycled mug from Walmart. I'm going to go in and put a nice fresh avocado, and I have a 3:30 client today. So I work, most of you work. You might work by being a stay-at-home mom. You might work by helping out your elders and taking care of them. You work by planting seeds. You might work a job. You might work a business. You're valuable. You mean a lot to me. And without you, I can't get where we want to get and build and help you, and you help me, and us help each other so that we can get out of the situation that we're in, so more people can be well and not on these medications. So if the government was being shut down as it is right now, you don't have to panic. You'll know how to take care of yourself. Real medicine people are going to be one of the most valuable resources you can possibly find. You want to keep us connected, okay? We're starting basic. It might not be basic for you. It might be really deep. But we're going to go basic, and we'll go very, 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 very deep eventually. So let's build together, all right? All right. Have a blessed day. Boy, now I got to figure out how to shut this thing off. You think I would have learned that?